friends, welcome back to my channel. We are in the month of September, which means it's time for me to show you guys my progress after the month of August. Just to be clear, we are technically 20 months into this project. Before I go ahead and show you what my palette looks like after 20 months of usage, I'll go ahead and show you what it looked like after 19 months. This is what my palette looks like after 20 months of usage. Okay, so it was a really interesting month. I did some experimentation with the palette this month, so I don't feel like I have a ton of progress to necessarily report and show you, but I do have some findings that I will share with you. The first is that I ended up mixing Merlot and Opal into one look, and I actually posted a series of videos where I was wearing that look. I'll post something up in the cards in case you want to see what my eyes looked like in that video. And I have to say, I loved it. I think it was a really beautiful eye look. I think it is such a quintessential fall look. So I'm really excited to be able to go gangbusters on that in the month of September. In fact, I feel like it's not probably the most noticeable because I haven't given you guys a lot of close-ups of Opal, but I was trying really hard to work off this side of Opal. It's a really small section. I know it's hard to see because this is basically white and the pan is so shiny, but I really feel like with this new understanding of Opal and Merlot together, that if I spend a solid month doing that look, I'll easily wipe out Opal and have a lot of progress in Merlot because it is one of those shades in here where the formulation is pretty soft, so it's easy to pick up a lot of product or make progress on that particular shade, no problem. I also, now that school is back in session, I did do a look with maroon just to give me like a brown color. And I have to say, I think maroon is a little dark, like it's maybe a little heavier than I would go for a school look. But I think if I just go like with a softer touch, I could probably get some more use out of it. I really don't think I'll be able to pan this shade if I'm being honest, but I do like the fact that I can at least turn to it when I'm looking for like a neutral look that isn't super warm, things like that, because I have a lot of warmth left in this palette. I also played with Mulberry. You can maybe see a little bit of progress. I only used it once because I just was doing so much other experimentation that I was like, oh, I'll try it just one time so I can check it off. But I have to say, I didn't love my look with it. The problem I came across is that Mulberry is a really dark shade, which isn't necessarily a problem because like Merlot is also dark and I do like it on my eyes. But the problem with Mulberry is that I put it on and I thought I had blended it out. When I went in the light of day, I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm not so sure I like this, or I'm not sure I did a good enough job of blending it. It's definitely a shade that I need to test out again, but right now it definitely seems to align more with like espresso and gray, which is that it was just kind of harder and finicky and somewhat maybe a little bit patchy, but I don't want to totally rule it out yet. I want to use it maybe 2 or 3 times more to decide if I can maybe figure out a way to use it. If not, it'll be nixed out of here, which I really don't want to have to do at this point, but I want to play with it a bit more. I've had the suggestion of using Mulberry as a blush, but frankly, I have so many blushes in my blush collection that I'd rather just use those. I really want to try to authentically use the eyeshadow palette as eyeshadow, because to me, when I look at an eyeshadow palette, I don't think to myself like, yeah, it's a great eyeshadow palette, but it can be a blush palette and a highlighter palette. Like, I know it can be, but I'd rather use something and show you the authentic use of what it took using it on my eyes. And we're 20 months in and I'm still playing with this thing on my eyes. So I think it gives you a really good read of the longevity of this palette. I also spent some time working with Camel and Sepia and a few looks with Dusty Plum. I just really love these shades, and I know that if I just spent like a month solely on each of them. I probably would get them wiped out in a single month, but I'm liking just having some variety here. And then I also did play a little bit with copper, giving myself a bit more. I really think that, again, if I mix copper with like the pink eye that I was doing, that it will wipe it out really fast because it's, again, more of a fall-ish look. The last one that I have in here that I spent most of the month working with is Orchid. You can recall that my goal was to get both halves of the top part of this gone, but you can see I accomplished basically getting one corner completely gone, and then this little bit I wore down. The issue I'm having is that as you get to the thinner part of a pan, it sometimes gets harder to pick up color. So if I'm sort of in like a hurry or I'm not paying attention, I'll just gravitate towards where the most product is sitting and I'll pick it up pretty quickly. So if I just had focused more on that corner, I probably would have gotten it done. I'm really happy with my progress there. I think that, again, if I do a concerted effort, that I will be able to get this used up pretty quickly. I know that we are nearing the end of the year, which is crazy to talk about because it is only the beginning of September, but as I think about this palette and will I be able to finish it, at this point, now that I'm working full-time again, I basically am wearing makeup 6 or 7 days a week, and so I will probably make a lot more progress over the course of September. Uncharacteristically, I ended up not having as many makeup-based days in the summer as I normally would. I just, like, for whatever reason, didn't feel like putting on makeup, or like was out and about with Luna, and so I wasn't wanting to put makeup on and do any kind of physical activity. So I really think that we're going to start to see much more heavy, significant progress as the fall months go on. The other update that I have for you is the Too Faced Matte Eye Palette. I'm very excited to tell you that I have finished up Velveteen Button. Just a bunch of shiny pan left in there. So as I had told you guys, I was going to make an effort to decide whether or not I wanted to keep this palette, if I wanted to use either one of these remaining shades in place of the cream. And I did use Fresh Linen. You would never know it based on looking at it, but Fresh Linen does have the same effect on my eyes that Velveteen Bunny had. I did try Tuft Suede. This I don't believe I would use as a cream. It has like a little bit of a darker color than my skin, so it's noticeable and it is not as universal or easy to put all over my lid. So I really feel like I'm left with just Fresh Linen. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm really tired of having this bulky packaging sitting in my collection. I also, just for some perspective purposes, when I go to pull out eyeshadow, I'm pulling out these 2 palettes minimum and normally a 3rd palette as well. And it's just a lot of stuff sitting on my vanity and it's just sort of getting annoying, like especially for just one shade. So here's what I'm gonna do. I broke my ColourPop 4 pan that I've been doing a lot of lid pulling from to use in conjunction with my Lorac Mega Pro palette. So what I'm gonna do is I do have another ColourPop like magnetic palette. So I'm gonna pop these out and put it into that and take this color out and put it into that palette. So that way I only really have 2 palettes at any time that I have to pull out for an eye look. Granted, if I'm gonna pull out a different eyeshadow color than one of these 4 lid colors, then I'll probably still end up with 3 palettes on my vanity, but I'm just super tired of this being really clunky. So I hope to show you guys next month this popped out. The one thing I'll say though is I've never popped out a shadow from this palette, so I don't know how well it's gonna go, but at the same time I won't be heartbroken if this breaks and I can't use it. I do have something else that I can use, so we'll see where this is at, whether it survives the depotting or not, and if it doesn't, I'll have something new to show you. Alright guys, that is it for me and this update. I hope you enjoyed seeing my palette after 20 months of use, and I can't wait to show you what my palette is looking like at the end of September. Bye.